So long before Women Who Lead and my work in diversity and inclusion at Home Services of America, I spent years in the real estate industry learning that leadership doesn't always come with a title. Sometimes leadership begins with an idea, a question, a willingness to challenge the status quo. And often it comes from people who see the possibilities that others haven't yet imagined. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Lead. I'm your host, Teresa Palacios Smith, and I'm so glad you're here. And this month, we are launching the first installment of a special series called Next Wave Leaders, featuring members of the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services REthink Council. And these women are all professionals who are helping shape the future of our industry through innovations, fresh perspectives, and a willingness to think differently. So if you're joining us live today, welcome. If you're joining us on the replay or on our podcast, we are so glad you're here. So go ahead, grab your cafecito. I'm ready because this is going to be a great conversation. So let's get started. So with me today, and I'm so glad that we were able to get Alexandria on. I know she was having a little difficulty there. I'm joined by three outstanding members of the REthink Council. Kaylee Eisenhauer. She is with the Eisenhauer team at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Northwest Real Estate in Vancouver, Washington. Welcome, Kaylee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alexandria Harris with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Indiana Realty in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yes. Hi. Welcome.
And Mandy Moultrie with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services York Simpson Underwood Realty in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, welcome, ladies. I'm so excited to have each of you on the show. And one of the things that I want to know, I always start with the questions is number one, we'll start with tell me about your market, where you were located, a little bit about the clients that you serve, and what you drew you to real estate, and also made you realize, God, this is really the right industry for me to build a career. And I'm going to start with you, Mandy.
Hey, everybody. I'm Mandy Moultrie. As you said, I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for the opportunity to be here and share. What started my career in real estate and really the passion for it was investing. That is not something that my parents did when I was younger. I didn't have a lot of examples around me, but I would say living here and growing up and seeing the development in North Carolina and the Southeast, a lot of people in my work sphere were doing that. So needless to say, I actually took the leap from doing something that was more corporate for about 15 years in supply chain and logistics to moving full time in real estate in 2022, and then started with Berkshire Hathaway in January of 2023. And it's been wonderful ever since.
Oh, I love it. So you decided, wow, this is something I really want to learn and dove in to become a realtor to really kind of practice that craft a little bit stronger. What is your demographic? What is the customer base that you can typically work with in your market?
Great question. So, first time home buyers, I love because, again, the education piece and helping others do what I did not know how to do early on. New construction, because that's certainly something that continues to boom here, military, and then all the way up to luxury homes. I've helped buy and sell those as well. And around here, that's considered something really around the 1.5 million mark. So, anything from land all the way up to that price point in residential.
Fabulous. How about you? Let's go with Alexandria.
Yes. So similar to Mandy, I have a background in supply chain management. But I went through the buy and sell process personally. And after buying, I think I could get into this. So it was something that I was actually going to do part-time. And so got jumped in 2020, got my license and was able to assist clients when things were kind of, booming. And I was able to, relieve myself of my full-time job and jump right in full-time to real estate. And it was became a passion. I'm like, okay, I can now assist people, and whether that be first-time home buyers or downsizing or moving into their forever home. And it was just like a no-brainer. It was a passion of mine that I couldn't resist. And so doing what I love to do every day, it was like I have to go all in. And so my client base is anywhere from first-time home buyers to people finding their forever home in the luxury market, as well as land, and people that are downsizing as well.
Nice. And you're in Indiana, which is a growing market. I've heard that's amazing, for a lot of people who are trying to invest in properties as well.
Yes.
Yes, right. And then last but not least, Kaylee.
Hi, yes, I am in Southwest Washington and also the Portland metro area, so both Oregon and Washington. Typically, like Mandy and Alexandria, I help a wide range of buyers, whether that's first-time land or luxury, but typically like to stick with the first-time home buyers just because I lean so much into education throughout the process, but specifically in the beginning. That is how I get a lot of my client base by doing, home buyer education classes and just teaching one-on-one buyers how to start the process. It's definitely something that seems very out of reach for a lot of people, but I'm able to help them with education and connecting them with the right people. And I think that's been something crucial that's helped me build my career here.
Love it. Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't know, and I just want to kind of explain what the REthink Council is and who it's made up of, is REthink, right? Real estate think tank. That's what it initially started out as. And so, hey, a think tank of young leaders, those that were joining our brand, that could come up with new ideas, fresh perspectives, maybe look at what we were doing and say, wow, this can benefit. We can change this a little bit. Here's some tools that I think might you might not be using that might be wonderful. So I always ask the question because I think it's important for people to know the background is every generation enters the workforce with a different perspective. So what is one assumption about your generation? Because everyone in the REthink Council is under 40. That's one of some of the requirements of being that you wish people would stop making. And I'll start with you, Kaylee.
Yeah. So I work on a team, the Eisenhower team. My parents started our team over 20 years ago. So things have obviously evolved since then. And I would say that's my biggest strong suit on our team is just bringing a new perspective to whether that's technology, whether that's, a new way of any type of lead gen activity. There is so much evolvement over the years. And I would definitely say with the coming of AI, not losing the relationship aspect of things, but integrating, the repetitive back end tasks and using AI to help with things like that is definitely something I think with the new wave of us, younger agents, that's going to be something that we adapt to a lot, maybe quicker, but also help others to adapt and learn that way as well.
I think that's really something that definitely is something we've learned that you do so easily because you grew up with it, right? You were born, working, cells, phones are easier. So, can y'all hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, how about you, Mandy?
So I guess I got lumped into the millennial generation. And now I'm considered, I guess, an elder millennial. I didn't really know what that was until someone told me. But I would say when we were first kind of coming out of college, there were a lot of assumptions made about needing to be handheld through things and a little bit more emotionally driven and things of that nature. And it's interesting because for me, the economy now is very similar to when I left college. And so having to go through, I'll call it the hard stuff, applying to a million jobs and not getting, feedback, especially as a new grad. I was very fortunate to have an opportunity that I secured out of college, and not everybody in my class was. So I think that assumption is kind of being broken. And I think the new generation that's now coming out of college is facing similar things. And I think it's a great tool set that's made us millennials and elder millennials able to become a little bit more hardened and gritty. And it's brought maybe a new perspective, I'll say, to what it means to be millennials really now versus I think when we were coming out of college in those early to mid 2000s range. So.
Oh, I think that's great because you've overcome so much, right? And it's
Sure.
giving you that, tenacity to continue on and learn from those past scenarios. How about you, Alexandria?
Yes, so like Mandy, I'm in that elder millennial stage. Um,
I don't even know what y'all
so
call
I
me,
will
but go
say
ahead.
that yes, so similar, like we've got that tough shell, so we can handle tough things, and so having those conversations are a little bit easier for us to, because we've been through so much. So being able to kind of navigate through the tough times and the tough conversations has really kind of prepped us for where we are now. And I think, the millennials, like the new generation coming in now, they're able to handle those tough conversations, getting us to move forward into this market that we're in and the industry that we're in. We're able to have those kind of tough conversations and be okay.
And I love it that you kind of now are those that are the kind of the mentor to those individuals, right? That new Gen Z generation. You're like, wow, now I'm the ones helping in that process of, finding a home and providing advice on finding an opportunity. I think that's great. So one question that I really want to really kind of dig in is are some fresh ideas or something that we know that the real estate industry needs to do so that they can evolve over the next 5 years. So something that, you think, oh gosh, this would be something that I think would be very helpful. And anyone that wants to answer that question. So, you know, just raise your hand or just start, Kaylee, I know that was one that you
Yeah,
kind
I
of said.
think going kind of hand in hand with the last question too, AI is just really, it's overwhelming. I'm Gen Z and I am overwhelmed by it. So although I grew up with technology, internet, all the things, it is still something that is new to me and it's ever evolving. Every day there's something new that comes out on whatever AI you end up using, right? Whether that's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. And so I think that is definitely something that I see evolving in the next couple years, but also something that you shouldn't be overwhelmed by, but take it bit by bit, little chunks each day, spend a couple minutes, maybe a half an hour to an hour, just learning, exposing yourself to these new technologies. And you can even ask AI, how it could benefit you. These are the things I'm struggling with. These are the things, I'd like help with, and it'll create a guide for you, or at least step by step of, hey, why don't you set this up for yourself? And this is how I can help you. So it's kind of cool that it's not only something new to learn, but it'll also walk with you, I guess, through the process. So that's definitely something that I would say is the new wave for sure.
For
I
sure. Anyone
I
else want to
Yeah,
add on?
I was gonna say I piggyback with Kaylee. There's so many tools that we can kind of dive in and use. I'd say kind of see where your need is or what you're needing, and then kind of take a bit from like every bit, and then kind of go from there. I wouldn't say use everything, but be able to master one of those to make you more efficient and more, if you will.
I totally agree. Just master one, then you can add on as you've looked at, hey, I've got this mastered. I know what I'm doing in this, type of opportunity or AI tool. Here's something else I can add on that this tool is recommending me to do because I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And I love to hear that you as a Gen Z also find it overwhelming. So
Yeah.
because
Yes.
there's so much every single day. And from the perspective of real estate agents, realtors, what we do, guiding people through the most expensive financial investment they are ever going to make, most likely in their lifetime. That's why it's important to use individuals that really understand the process, not just AI, because now you're seeing, oh, like AI help identify properties or help identify scenarios, but really working with somebody who really has expertise on every piece, right, that happens during the process of purchasing that first home or selling. Because a lot of people forget that if you've been in a home 10, 15 years, you don't know how to sell a house either. And what are the processes and the changes that have happened since they first bought their first home several
Yeah.
years back. So having that experience really matters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
So one of the things I also want to know is that have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had an idea I think we've all that, but a perspective, a solution that really differed from what somebody else was doing, someone with more experience. And how did you navigate that moment? How were you able to kind of convince someone, hey, let's try this. I think it's going to work. I think it's something that's going to be a solution that will help us in this scenario. And I'll start with you, Mandy.
So I can think of several times in corporate America where that's happened to me, but I'll actually make it real estate related just because I am in an office where there's a lot of tenure and it's amazing. And I'll say 9 times out of 10, it is the other way around. It's me asking people who have been through it for 30 years, what am I missing? And how can I replicate that for my clients or think differently than I'm thinking now? Now on the client facing side, there have been traditional ways to do things in North Carolina. Agreements, forms have changed over the last 20 years. Buyer agency has been a big change over the last 30 years. And for me, one thing that I try to offer a lot, especially in this, I'll call it newer market shift that we've been having lately, is education up front about really the lending process. So I get traditionally speaking, there were more people that socially decided to sign buyer agency later in the process, right? People would show homes, maybe without a buyer agency agreement. Again, the law was different, I'll just say before. But that's something that I've really tried to nail down even prior to that becoming a law, because from what I saw, 90% of the things that fell apart were because there wasn't transparency and education, to Kaylee's point, usually with a first time home buyer or maybe that 10-year seller, right? That was then buying and hadn't been through it in a while. So for me, it's really looking at maybe using the tools and the processes we have now, and implementing those as risk management tools ahead of time to educate and partner with lenders that are preferred, are local, have flexibility, have credibility, to make sure that the process goes smoother on the back end.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that because that's something that a lot of people kind of wait till after, right? But now it's really critical to really let people know what the processes are and how they've changed because and how the market changes and how, real estate's really, depending on where you are in the time frame as to when you bought and what the opportunities are in that space today because again, every day is different. Anyone else want to add to that?
Definitely. I mean, I completely agree with Mandy, and just really, I don't know, enhancing, I guess, or being open to sharing your knowledge and I think having the confidence. That is something with the people of tenure in your office. They're looking for, they may not want to tell you, but they are looking for, somebody to help guide them in the newer ways of doing things. And so having that confidence to share, I think is super important for sure, especially being so young. I'm
Yeah, I
definitely
can
one of the younger
imagine
ones
that
in the
would be
office.
a
So,
challenge
yeah.
with you, Kaylee, being number one, you're a part of a team and you said your parents are
Yep.
right? So sometimes that's hard to kind of
Yep.
fall in when you've
Yep.
got, family members that actually have operated and now you're kind of seen as like, oh, she's the young one, the daughter. To create your own credibility can be very difficult. So what has been the biggest thing that you've all had to overcome, especially about leadership, because you are all leaders. And I think getting part of this REthink Council, you have set yourself apart because there's a lot of people that apply for the opportunity and are recommended for the opportunity, and then to be selected among all those agents in our country that are really interested in doing this, that has set you apart. So kind of elevated you to a position as a role model, right? Not only that, but also as someone who is now trying to lead others. So, what has that thing that's prepared you to be able to do that? Mandy, let's start with you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no pressure, right? No, it is. It's very humbling. And I think everybody involved in Rethink and even past alumni that we've talked to that, still serve in different capacities would say it is a humbling thing to even be a part of this and be selected to be a part of Rethink. I think one thing that's prepared me really well is going through the corporate gamut, working in industries that are not as female forward. I know we're in part of Women Who Lead here, but being a part of sports and entertainment, supply chain and logistics, it started as truck drivers. A lot of the Frito-Lay type companies,
Yes.
UPS, they made you drive a truck. Like that was the first supply chain jobs that at least were offered to us as college grads or even 18-year-olds. So I think going through that rigor, being questioned about being younger, to your point, Kaylee, I think having to prove yourself early on that you're not just a young kid, that you're knowledgeable, that you can work hard, that you'll earn it. I think that has prepared me and others that are on this call, and certainly others on Rethink, to be where we are now. And then to have really great people around us that support us to be here. And that includes people in our office, that includes company leadership. And that belief also, I think, just springboards you because it helps to, again, kind of get out of that imposter syndrome a little bit and realize you're here for a reason, you're here to serve, and then keep that forward momentum, if you will.
Beautiful. And I know that that does happen because you've got a really core group of friends that you develop, that you exchange ideas with, and you learn from each other. And that way you're able to also teach that to others. I think that's really important. How about you, Kaylee?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Mandy, and just the support. It's proving yourself, but then also the support you have behind, especially myself, it being my parents, I'm so thankful for the foundation they've built for me. That's only just going to continue to lift me up as the years go on. But definitely even support staff in your offices and things like that as well, for sure.
Alexandria?
Yes, I agree with both Mandy and Kaylee. And just being able to I'm humbled to be around such elevated top tier leaders and agents that are willing to share their knowledge and in the stepping stones that they've taken to get to where they are. And I have something to prove. I always say, I want to make sure that I get to the top and serve my clients in a way that's top tier. And I feel like even more so, I need to be on my game and elevated being a woman, being a woman of color. Just making sure that I have the right tools and the right people behind me, and asking the right questions. And I feel like I have that support so that I'm able to kind of, like I said, lead in that top tier.
And maneuver through it, right? So I know that all you probably will put together your 5-year plan as to where you're going to be in 5 years. We've seen a lot of those that have come through the Rethink Council actually, start owning their own companies, right? They were part of a team, and then their parents ended up purchasing the franchise and then have actually led, or they've gone into roles that are in management, right, within the companies, right? So I think that's, or grow their own teams, right? So I think that's amazing. Some of the things that I look at is many of the people spend years waiting until they feel ready. And so what is something you've done? Because people always, even when it comes to AI, even when it comes to doing those calls that are scary because you don't want to get turned down, but are critical for the business and for you to get people to actually work with you. You have to make those calls. What is something you've done that has pushed you way outside your comfort zone and accelerated your growth because you did it, even though you were scared to do it or that you didn't want to do it? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll
I was gonna
go.
say just, oh, yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Kaylee.
I was just going to say, just jumping in and doing it and just not being scared, you're probably going to mess up. You're probably going to be embarrassed. Let's say you start, want to start video, things like that. You're going to look back in 2 years and be like, oh my gosh, that video is so embarrassing, but you jumped in and you did it. Or, just taking the next step, calling clients, things like that. There are great experiences that happen from just taking the leap, and you don't know what's going to be on the other side until you do it, right? So I think not being afraid and just diving headfirst all in, and just seeing what comes of it and doing the hard work for sure is just going to pay off in the end.
Even if you fall, you just get up and do it again.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna I will add to that. You just got to do it. You're never ready. That's just like jumping into real estate full time. I wasn't ready, but you just have to jump in. This year, I was actually honored to be chair of our local board of division of real estate. And I will say I wasn't ready. I would have probably given myself another year or two, but the opportunity presented itself, and I can't tell you, how strong of a communicator and just connecting with people that it has made me this year. And I'm still growing and still learning, but it's just opened up a lot of doors for me to be able to have that confidence.
Oh my God, that's great. You said, hey, okay, this opportunity, I got to take it. I know I'm not ready, but yes, this is awesome. Anyone else? Mandy, how about you? I want to hear from you.
I'll double down, but that I think doing it for me, having the hard conversations quickly has been something that I don't like giving bad news. But as the adage goes, bad news doesn't get better with age. So you really got to rip that Band-Aid, right? And so I've been very proactive in kind of writing a list of the must-dos for my day, whether it's like a top 3 or top 5 list, and doing them quickly and doing them often and putting out the fires immediately, having hard conversations, whether it be with other agents or clients, giving feedback. That's something for me that's really launched my business forward. And it's like you said, building that grit. I think it continues kind of sharpen the tool set that I've got. And I didn't know how much I needed that personally, but also obviously professionally. And I think that's really springboarded my business to be able to know that people trust that I'm going to give quick, honest, deliberate feedback. I'm going to be communicative. And it's really become a part of my brand. And so anyways, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
No, it does. It really does because, you've decided, you know what, I'm going to hit the hard times, the difficult scenarios first. Like that to me is what has made you so successful because you've hit it head on. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. Like for me, I always do a 7 every day. I do my top 7 things I'm going to do today. And instead of starting on the ones that I think are going to be the easiest to do, I start on the hardest ones because then everything else becomes easy, right? Okay, I did the hardest one. I went ahead and got it over with. Now I'm moving forward to those things that are easier for me to do. So here's the meat of what I want to hear from you because I really do love the fact that you are so easily, you're so AI technology, social media seems to be so easy to you. Maybe I'm wrong. So tell me what excites you most about what technology, and really get very specific, that you find is something you have used and you think, wow, this is really changing my life. This has changed the way I've done real estate, or this tool has really saved me. What took me an hour now takes me, 5 minutes to do. And I know chat and all those, but I want more like different if you have that. So what is one thing that you would say, this is what I've used and this is how it's helped me? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll go. So I do use Chat GPT for, and which I'm sure everyone has kind of adapted to. But I use that system to elevate like my listing presentations, and when I'm on like client tours, using the video aspect of it or taking a quick picture. If my client can't see the vision of like, a living room or a kitchen, I'll snap a quick picture and say like, okay, redesign this, this room, this space. And like kind of on the spot, I'll have that. So we can actually visualize how to kind of move forward, or using a listing presentation to say like, okay, I think it would be better with if we painted the kitchen or painted the cabinets, and being able to immediately kind of snap that picture and have that on hand. I feel like that has kind of been like golden for me, just to kind of have that hands-on right now. With the Chat GPT, and then being able to just kind of streamline like my presentation to have everything in or organized for me. Whereas it would take me time to actually do that, but it saves a little bit of time so that I can put more into, okay, the market analysis or how to, pricing strategies of things of that nature. So it's taken a little bit of the creativity of like the pictures and the photos out for me, and then allow me to actually, okay, let me gain your trust with the strategies that I'll use, and kind of moving forward in that aspect.
That is a visual that I think everyone should be able to understand because I'm a visual person. And so, Alexandria, when you show me, let's see what your room's going to look by just switching your furniture around or just doing a color that might be more neutral that would attract more buyers to your home. Just, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you do? Do you upload the photo of the person of the property or the room into chat and then ask it to so that people know what exactly to do?
Absolutely. So I will capture the photo of the room, whatever room that, whether it be a living room or a kitchen, and I'll say, make this a warmer tone or take the curtains out because we need to take the curtains off to show the full view and to make the area look a little bit bigger. So I will take a picture specifically and I will feed it into, chat and let it know what I want it to do.
I love it, right? That's really kind of helpful because now you've got a tool that's going to really help you with your business that helps you identify weaknesses in the properties that can make them strengths and turn them into strengths. How about you, Mandy?
Twofold. So I'll double down on ChatGPT for sure. And the paid version is worth it. I'll say that. Absolutely pay the however many dollars a month if you're an agent to support your clients. So I can be on my way to a listing presentation or even a showing and say, hey, give me the latest updates that you know about XYZ address, right? Are there any easement issues? Are there any articles I should be aware of around development in this area? Just kind of blanketing things that I may have missed. Even though I've done my research, I've already set up my presentation, it just gives an added talking point when you're there at the property, again, whether you're showing or at a listing, to support that. Also during inspections, same thing, taking pictures to Alexandria's point of different things. And maybe you don't know what the year is of something, and getting some guidance there is certainly helpful for chat. There's a technology though that I'll say I want to grow in that's AI based. It's called Sintra. It's spelled Sintra. It almost mirrors the book Traction, if you've ever read the book Traction, which is very entrepreneurial focused about having the right person in the right seat. And the way Sintra operates is it assigns almost like a persona to different parts of your business. So whether this person is a marketing person or an HR person, each Sintra little bot has its own personality. And so for me, there's some experts in that field that I'm trying to learn from in order to help optimize my business and create hands where I don't have them. So
Oh,
more
that's
to come,
awesome.
but yeah, I'm
Centra.
really excited. Yeah, so definitely explore it if you haven't already. And TBD, as far as maybe in 2027, I'll have it down pat, but we'll
Oh,
see.
wow. That is a great tool that I've not heard about. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. And then Kaylee, how about you?
I was going to say it's always changing. There's always something new being
Always.
added and yeah, so I'm excited to thank you for sharing that. I will definitely say a couple use cases. I definitely do what Alexandria does when it comes to taking a room, and I know others in our office do this as well. Like an older corner fireplace, and what could it look like if changed it, made it more modern, made it, less a room that has a harsh color. What will it look like? Because Teresa, like you said, visualizing is really hard for some people, especially visualizing furniture in an area, right? Like, will my couch actually fit here? And kind of seeing that. One way I know that our team specifically uses it is to help with SEO and searchability of our listings when creating listing descriptions. I know with listing descriptions they can go on and on and on, and use nestled and all of the descriptive words. Not using it for that, but using it for lifestyle purposes. How is somebody going to enjoy the home that you have listed, right? What type of lifestyle, close to freeway, there's certain keywords that freeway access, things like that. Somebody that needs to commute, that's maybe working remote, that needs to go in a couple times a week. They need easy freeway access. People that like entertaining, having a large patio in the back. So kind of giving it the way we use it is give it these details about the home and then tweak it as we read through and see, what type of lifestyle aspects we can hit on throughout the home, right? Like
And I
spa,
love that because you're
bathroom.
actually using descriptive words,
Yeah.
inclusive language
Yep.
to abide by fair housing rules,
Exactly.
but
Yep.
that also really can pull the type of individual or person or family that would be interested in that property. I
The other thing is,
love that.
yeah, people are searching more so on style and li lifestyle and the way they're going to use their home. They're not just looking for a three bedroom, two bath house. They're going on and the searches are not as straightforward as they used to be. Like three bed, two bath home in Vancouver. No, they're not searching that way. They're adding descriptors and, they care about these specific,
Like
things to highlight in the
walkability
home.
and we
Yes.
want to be, we have our fur babies are our
Yeah.
life and we want to
Yep.
have,
Yeah.
places
Exactly.
that are near that can take care of our fur babies and shops
Yep.
that will cater to them and,
Yeah.
groomers that are close by and all that. So I love that you're very specific as to how you are accommodating those needs that you're seeing your clients also look for. The other piece on that is also social media because I'm interested in seeing what social media are you using and what are the best ways that you are providing or getting opportunities in the lead generation side? Because that is one thing that I find difficult personally because I'm kind of old school, right? And so I know this is kind of a new school way of getting opportunities, leads. And I hear, for those of you who are familiar with Jimmy Burgess does a great, webinar every Friday, and it talks about that and the leads that really kind of come from using social media. And so, give me some ideas there so that our clients that are watching and those individuals that are looking or agents know what's the best tool that you have found and what are some of the things you're doing that really have led to great opportunities.
I,
And go ahead, Kaylee.
I was going to say, I think the biggest thing on any social media platform is not posting and ghosting. It's really being interacting and being present on the social media, whether that's commenting, excuse me, liking, sharing other people's posts. It's only going to make you show up on their feed more, but also being consistent. So I use TikTok and Instagram mainly, and I have noticed things are changing now that I have been consistent for the last couple months. What I specifically lean into is lifestyle content. So we have a lot of hiking trails, things like that. So I definitely take the summer to record. We have a lot of rainy months here, but the summer is very nice. So definitely when I go hiking, all of that, use that time to take B-roll, which is behind the scenes like clips, and then posting words over top, kind of leaning into that regret factor, like, you missed another summer in the Pacific Northwest. It's beautiful weather, all of that. That's what I'm leaning into more on Instagram. I would say TikTok, your content is pushed a lot more on there, so you're reaching a wider audience, but really taking that extra step to reach out and DM, direct message whoever follows you and asking them a question, not just saying, hey, thanks for the follow, but stating, "Hey, what did you follow me? Not what did you follow me for, but I usually ask like, are you here for the lifestyle content? Or are you looking to make a move?" Something like that, where there's further engagement. Yes, some people never respond, but others will just share everything with you, and it's just opening doors.
So you're
So
doing a
that's definitely
follow-up of
something.
those individuals that are actually
Yes.
liking you, following you, and all that. Hey,
Yes.
I love that you watch this. It seems
Yes.
like you might be interested in this. What other content? Oh, I love that. That's awesome. I think that's
Yeah.
really, really smart.
Yeah.
How many times do you post?
I am posting 2 reels a day and one home tour a day. So
So
three a day, which
on
is a
both,
lot.
yeah,
But
on both of them. So you're doing TikTok and
yeah.
Instagram, 2 posts a day, and then one reel on the same one on each, right? You kind of
Yeah,
upload.
so I do two
Okay.
lifestyle, so two like hiking or whatever lifestyle Vancouver posts in Instagram, and then on YouTube, I'm actually doing that too. It takes a lot longer to build your YouTube up, but I do a home tour a day on YouTube. So I go around and record local homes that are for sale, walking through raw footage of just explaining, the layout of the home and all of that. And then I put all three of those, so the two reels and the one YouTube video, all on TikTok. It's kind of
All
my
right.
dumping ground.
I
But it's the algorithm there, I think, favors it puts, who's ever watching the home tours, they're seeing those, and then whoever's seeing it just delegates it that way.
Do you do those independently upload, or do you use a tool to help you upload in all those resources?
I put a lot in my drafts, so it's easy for me to just go in and hit post, but I don't schedule posts. I've just heard mixed things on that, whether it hurts your reach, helps your reach. So I try to batch content, and I use Instagram edits to make those Instagram reels. And then I just put it into my draft, so it's ready to go. So I'm posting it right then and there, but the caption, everything's done. I just hit post.
I think that's great. And then one last question. When you're out there doing your, hiking, are you using a camera that you are, like, is it your cell phone? Do you have a special camera? Because these are the questions that I love. So I love it. So
Just
you're,
my phone.
okay.
Yep. I have a gimbal that I use for my home tours that keeps my phone steady because I'm usually sheet all the other things. So that's a little bit more polished, but just my phone holding very still, zooming into things, moving. They don't want all the way around, just very, very slow, almost shifting your weight type of videos do best. Because if you're focusing on the words and everything's spinning behind, it's very distracting. So yeah, nothing fancy, just my phone for all of
I
it.
love it. So we're going to look at your content, Kaylee. How about you,
Yes.
Mandy?
So I am similar in the edits. I'm a Instagram lover when it comes to where millennials are. Those are my people. Those are who I'm working with. The majority of the time, I would say the majority of my home buyers are millennials, period. And a lot of them are on Instagram. A lot of my referrals from other agents that are millennials come from Instagram. So I am not on TikTok. Kaylee, and I've talked to the REthink Council about this. This is something I may challenge myself to start doing. But I'm kind of leaning all in on Instagram, Facebook as well. I do have a Facebook business page. I do post separately. To Kaylee's point, I don't do scheduled posts. In Instagram, people on this call may already know you can share automatically to Facebook. I like Kaylee. I've heard mixed signals about doing that. So I don't do that. I actually post separately and change the content, change the wording a little bit on Facebook when I post things. And then last but not least, LinkedIn. That was my life prior to real estate. A lot of my network is out there. And shock to anybody who, may not know this, but there are people with jobs on LinkedIn. So they can probably buy a house, or maybe they've already bought a house. Or they might be looking for a job, right? And so you can be a resource to people, I think, much more on LinkedIn in a different way. And so, again, using similar content, but then kind of rewriting it, or maybe just taking a different angle with it on LinkedIn has been something that I've really enjoyed challenging myself with. So I'm not as consistent as Kaylee. A lot of my content is really about my clients. And then I get on reels, or listen to me, I'm not even saying it correctly. I get on stories once a day. I do try to do that in a very authentic way. It's something that I've done since I started my business. And it seems to work out, but I'll have random people tell me, I saw what you posted today, or I wake up every day and there you are. So
Love it.
that's good or bad.
That's your brand. It's your
I
creating
love
your
it.
brand, right? Yeah, I love it too. Wow.
But
Um,
that's it. That's my kind of social media spiel. But I would say if you have a presence on LinkedIn, or if you've had a corporate career prior to real estate, or even so, if you've just got a certain target demographic of people that you work with and you're in the real estate business, that's certainly been something that I've seen be helpful
and
to.
it's growing. That audience is really
Yeah.
growing. I've seen
There's
it.
more video, there are more different types of content on LinkedIn as well, which is very interesting to start to watch and grow. So
All right. And then I'll round it off with you, Alexandria.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different because I use Facebook actually as my primary, and then Instagram, and because I am a busy mom, and always helping clients and kids, and so I don't have a lot of time to do both. So I actually have my Facebook and Instagram linked together. But I will say that I will post separately, like on my stories every morning for Instagram. I feel like there's a lot of people that read stories and will miss a post. So I will do, kind of personal, inspirational quotes and things from Instagram. And then I do a lot of my content, whether it be with the kids or just connecting on a personal level with what I have going on for the day. Um, and I will post it usually 3 times a week, and that typically comes from Facebook. I usually have my source of sphere comes from people that I've went to school with, people that I've known, their parents. That's where I kind of get solely my business from is Facebook, and in the like my DMs from there. And so just being authentic, like I said, posting about my kids and what we're doing and keeping up if we're at the pool, and then also highlighting my clients if I'm showing properties, doing open houses. And so it's just a mix of both. You get both of me, my business, my professional, and family as well.
That's so refreshing because, I love hearing that each of you really are using the different social medias and you have found success with different lines, right? Because that's the key to what you're doing, right? Everyone has a one of those social medias that they've mastered and that they feel like they're getting opportunities from. And so here's my question that I'm just surprised y'all with one. What's the biggest lead or opportunity that you receive from someone DMing you or from your social media, because I think that's really kind of cool to know, hey, I got this lead. I was able to convert it into to someone who was interested in buying, or they're in the process, whatever it might be, or it led to this. And anyone who wants to answer that.
I would definitely say, like Mandy, not only from social media are you getting clients, but you're also getting other agents who are seeing your content and they may have clients to refer to you. So, definitely something that's happened on multiple occasions is just referrals. And again, they fit the ideal client that I'm kind of posting for and to. And it's cool to just have people reach out and say like, hey, I found you on Instagram. I think like Alexandria, adding your personal touch in there, people are relating to you, right? They see what this lady specifically said to me was, by watching your content, I can tell your vibes will just align very well. So I think sharing some of the personal side. I know a lot of people don't like to share their kids. If you do, if you don't, whatever, but sharing you because they want to connect to you and maybe even, just talking about the things you like to do and sharing those things, small clips of all of that definitely helps people relate. So yeah, so I've closed many from social media in that aspect of referrals. But yeah.
That's the perfect. I used to be in relocation, so one of the things that we would always try to do is match when we would get an opportunity or a lead through our third party relocation management companies, is to make sure we kind of match the needs of the buyer that was
Yeah.
coming in or listing with those that we knew in our agent, base. Like
Yeah.
they have fur babies, they love their, dogs, they know all about this. And then we tried to cut, things that we knew that were going to be a perfect match. So that is such a smart thing. And
Yeah.
realizing that other agents they send you business,
Yeah.
especially if you connect with them. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
I'll
All
also
right,
add to,
man. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll add to that. I've used Instagram actually to write on my story just to ask for the business. Like, hey, who do you know that you is looking to buy or sell? And I've asked them to, tag them or, direct message me with their names or information, or feel free to share my information. And I have a lot of people that will say, like, hey, my mom is looking to downsize, or I'm thinking about selling. Can you do a home evaluation? And so I have a lot of people just by personally asking for their business.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All
Although
right.
this was
Go ahead.
not one that we brought up, but I will say it. Google business page. So I got a phone call from my Google business page about 2 years ago now, I think maybe a little over. They found me. They loved Berkshire Hathaway. I've done as much as I could do at the time, I should say, about maximizing my reach on Google business and reviews and things of that nature. That led to me helping them fully renovate their home prior to listing it. And then my biggest sale last year that I had ever had. And they actually, now I just referred them, they'll be finishing a new construction build in a different state with a different Berkshire Hathaway agent. So I was able to then refer them out, and they're just wonderfully happy and such kind people. And I would have never had that relationship had it not been for social media. So I highly recommend doing that as well. I know that's not something we talked about, but
No, it's a perfect because it is a piece of social media. Google, really does help you establish yourself as an expert. And that's where a lot of the AI pulls from too. So it's really important to also know that. And that's how you're able to be found among a sea of thousands and thousands of agents. So I think that's really a cool way that you got a customer. So thank you for sharing that. All right, it's almost time. I can't believe it. Our hours, we're almost done. I always ask the question is because I think it's important for those that want to know what have you, is there a certain podcast? Is there a book? Is there a quote? Something that kind of, and you can do all three if you want to, that has influenced your life or career and that you want to share with others because you found like this was something that I read and it was an aha moment for me, or this podcast really is something that I continue to follow because it really always has really great content. So I'm going to start with you, Mandy.
oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, quote is everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Is that it? Being able to be nimble in this business and move through hard things, I think we talked about that earlier, has been something that's been helping me to be a more dynamic agent and a more successful agent, I'll say, and business owner. And then as far as podcasts go and things of that nature, Andy Frisella is a gentleman who is an entrepreneur in the fitness space. And he's a little harsh for some people, but I think I need harsh feedback sometimes. And so his podcast programs, companies, First Form is one of them. Those are things that I follow to get inspiration, both in and outside of real estate.
Wonderful. I have not heard of that podcast. I'll start with you, Alexandria. You're next.
Yes. So my quote, mirror what you admire. I've always stood by that since I've gotten into real estate. Um, don't always think that you have to reinvent the wheel. This industry people have been going strong for years. So those people that you look up to, tap them on the shoulder, ask them, how did you get here? What are the steps that you took? Even the trials that you went through. Ask those questions and be able to build on that. I find that to be my inspiration when going through this industry and just going through life. When you see people that you admire, talk to them. Don't just admire them from afar. Actually reach out to them and kind of learn and grow from that.
I love that quote. That's a first. We have not heard that one after 150 plus shows. So I think that's amazing. Mirror what you admire. Perfect quote. And then Kaylee.
Yes, mine is growth rarely comes from doing more, it comes from doing less better. And it goes hand in hand with my book, which is 2x is easier than sorry, 10x is easier than 2x. And basically doing less but adding, right? A lot of people are always distracted by shiny objects, new things. And I think hunkering down and being consistent with what you're already doing, that is the biggest thing that I've found helpful within the last year or so. And just plowing forward, digging deep, instead of, piling on your plate as much as you can.
That is
Yeah.
the key, right? Make it simple, keep it, just stay consistent
Yes.
with what you know, with what you continue to do, because we do get a lot of noise in our industry and we get a lot of new things introduced every day. And sometimes it can be so daunting, but if you just continue to do those basics that you learn from the very start and then add in those things that make you you, I think it's going to really help and benefit your business. So I want to thank you. This has been such a fantastic conversation. What stood out to me is that leadership isn't always about waiting your turn. It's about stepping up, showing up, and being curious, and being willing to challenge those assumptions that are part of our business. embraced change. All of you have embraced change. You've created opportunities, and where others see obstacles, you say, no, this is an advantage for me. So thank you all for sharing your perspectives, your experiences, your vision for what's next. And I want to thank all of you who are joined us today for watching this show. Before we go, please join us for our next. We have a Diversity Matters segments that will air on June 24th, and we're going to be featuring Alex Cruz, who's the executive director of the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance, as we celebrate our special Pride Month conversation. And then also be sure to join us again this time next month for our next series of Next Wave Leaders. So I can't wait for that. So join me. And then again, thank you all. You all did fantastic. Loved all of your advice, all of your pointers, and all of your social media details, because that is something that I personally always want to learn. And I know that you all are the experts in that field. So thank you. As always, everyone, keep building, keep leading, and keep creating the kind of impact that lasts, because your voice matters, your leadership matters, and the work you're doing matters more than you know. I'm Teresa Palacios Smith, and this has been Women Who Lead.